Hey guys, we're down here at the EA Winter Showcase. I'm joined by James from BioWare, who's the creative director for Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic. Thanks for joining us today.
Yeah, nice to meet you.
Cool, so just give us a quick recap of what the game's all about for the few people out there that might not have heard of it.
So Star Wars The Old Republic is a massively multiplayer online game based in the Star Wars universe, developed by BioWare. It's based several thousand years before the movies and 300 years after Knights of the Old Republic 1 and 2. Basically, with the Old Republic, we want to bring storytelling to the MMO space, so that's really been one of our huge focuses. You know, we have fully voiced characters, we have beautiful cinematic scenes, we have choices that actually have an impact. Also, because this is Star Wars, combat's a major theme of the game as well. We've really tried to make combat a lot faster paced than what you've seen before in other games. We've added such game mechanics as cover. We have lightsaber battles that are actually choreographed, where lightsabers are clashing against each other. You can deflect blaster bolts. All that kind of stuff you've seen from the movies, you're going to see in the game as well.
Cool. And so you've already announced 6 classes previously. You've announced 2 brand new classes today. One of them is the Jedi Consular. So can you tell us a little about that character and what's some of his abilities and some of his characteristics?
So there's 2 Jedi classes in the game, the Jedi Knight and the Jedi Consular. The Jedi Knight is more of the at the front fighter type who leaps right in there, swings his lightsaber around, takes lots of damage. But the Jedi Consular is more based in telekinetics. He stays a little bit back, though he also can engage with his lightsaber. He can use telekinetics to throw his enemies around, lift them up into the air, slam them down to the ground. He's also a type that can be more of a support Jedi, using abilities to heal or to buff like your other player characters or companion characters. Story-wise, the Jedi Knight is much more, he has a much more action-oriented story, much more straightforward, Republic versus Sith Empire story. The Consular story, he's much more of the investigator. He's more akin to Obi-Wan Kenobi, while I would say that the Jedi Knight is more like a Mace Windu.
Cool. And we also saw the Sith Inquisitor. Can you tell us a little about this new character class?
So on the Imperial side, you have the Sith Warrior and the Sith Inquisitor. Sith Warrior is, he was inspired by Darth Vader. The Sith Inquisitor is inspired by Emperor Palpatine and Darth Maul. Now I know those 2 guys are quite a bit different, but that's because in our game, each class is actually able to specialize once he reaches a certain level. So the Sith Inquisitor, he starts off, he's lightly armored, he's very acrobatic, he uses a lot of lightning abilities, and also some telekinetics as well. Then, when you decide to specialize, you can either really focus on the lightning abilities and being more of a longer range character and a support character, where you get to just take out 5 guys with a giant lightning storm, or lift them up into the air and fill them with lightning and crash them down to the ground. I don't know if you managed to get the hands-on demo, but I'm sure you had a little bit of fun with that. But you can also take a different path where you're much more about the acrobatic dual, where you're wielding the lightsaber staff, and you're much faster paced. And you also still use lightning, but it is a different feel. And that each one of those classes, each class in our game, gets to make that choice, kind of specialize in 2 different ways.
Sure. And how do the missions kind of play to the strengths of each of the character classes? So when you're playing PvE, kind of how will that gameplay differ? In
our game, we have 2 different kinds of missions, or quests, you can call them. We have ones that are class-based, we call them the class story arcs, and then we have the group quests. The class story arcs are completely focused around satisfying your class story and your character, so they're built for that character. If it's a Jedi Knight class story, it's totally built for that character, for his strengths, and to progress his story. It's very much... And those stories are like your own BioWare epic story, which has characters that come back and weave in and out of the story, where there's twists to the story, and it's kind of the core of our storytelling. Now the group quests are built so that they can support any of the classes within that faction. And they're also built so that if you saw our demo at Gamescom, you'll know that each of them allows for multiplayer storytelling, where if you have a party with a Jedi Knight, a Consular, a Smuggler, and Trooper, they all get together and they talk to an NPC, and each one of them can have a voice and get involved in the conversation. The quest itself, the activities you have, we've made sure to balance them so that each of the classes has a role when going into battles. Now we have different levels of encounters or quests that you might have to go on. Like some quests are built so that, a lot of the quests are built so they can be soloable. So if you go in there by yourself, it's going to be pretty challenging. If you go in there with your party, you're going to clean house pretty fast. We have other quests that are more built towards groups. So if you go in there solo, you're probably going to have to be higher level than that quest is meant to be, or you're just going to wait till later. Or if you want to do it at the appropriate level, you're going to have to join up with your buddies. We also have flashpoints, which are big instances that are built to really showcase the best of our storytelling and combat, and those we have combat encounters that really allow for all 4 classes to show their stuff.
Cool. Okay, brilliant. Well, we better leave it there. But finally, I'm sure the question on many people's lips is when will they finally get to play the final version?
I can't talk about dates right now. We're gonna, we want to make sure that we have a very, very polished experience. So we're gonna take the time we need to get there.
Okay, brilliant. Well, thanks a lot for your time.
Yeah, thank you.